Larado7228 is a YouTube channel dedicated to sharing true and gripping stories of infidelity. With a unique storytelling style, the channel explores the complexities of relationships, from shocking betrayals within families to intense love affairs. Each video takes the viewer on an emotional roller coaster, showcasing raw moments of pain, regret, and ultimately forgiveness. If you're fascinated by real-life stories that dive deep into human emotions and relationships, Larado728 is the channel to follow. Tune in for stories that will make you question trust, loyalty, and the very nature of love. I let them all go inside. What happens next will shock you. The initial presence enveloped me gradually, from behind, robust, substantial, unwavering, as the second tenderly cradled my cheek and kissed me as if I were the final woman alive. My partner lingered in the armchair, a silent observer, eyes locked, lips barely parted, absorbing every nuance as I leaned back breathless against the stranger's chest. Their skin held the richness of twilight, exuding warmth and strength. Each motion was measured with care, every push a quiet promise. My fingers clutched the bedsheets as though the very ground beneath me was vanishing into thin air. Two sets of hands traversed my skin as if they were adventurers uncovering hallowed territory. I had transcended the role of a mere partner in a tepid relationship. I was a spark unleashed. Eleanor is the name I go by. I am 39 years of age, having been born and raised in the vibrant city of Tucson, Arizona. I operate a quaint artisan bakery in the heart of town and have always considered myself a dedicated individual. My partner Alex is 47 years old, an architect known for their remarkable patience and calm demeanor. After 12 years together, I must admit that the last 4 have resembled more of a scripted performance between roommates than a genuine partnership filled with love and shared experiences. Passion lacking, link silent, we drifted through our days like phantoms clad in skin courteous, yet empty until Alex bestowed upon me the gift. On a drizzly Saturday in March, we celebrated our anniversary. I had just come back home after wrapping up the bakery for the day ahead of schedule. I anticipated dinner reservations, perhaps an evening on the town. I donned a red dress that had remained untouched by sunlight for more than 5 years. Instead, I stepped into a softly illuminated living room where the flickering candlelight danced in harmony with the gentle strains of piano music. And a pair of men. They stood tall and striking, clad in black, serene, sipping scotch on the couch opposite Alex as if they had shared a lifetime of camaraderie. As Alex rose to welcome me, his smile held a gentle, enigmatic quality. He presented them as Khalil and Terence. He pressed his lips to my cheek and murmured, "Happy anniversary." Initially, I found myself perplexed. My heart pounded in my chest. I believed it to be an intricate jest. Yet he uttered his words gently, as if they had been meticulously rehearsed. For months I've been meticulously crafting this plan. I desire for you to experience emotions once more. I desire for you to embrace your freedom. I ought to have declined. I ought to have departed. Instead, I remained there, breath suspended, caught in a web of confusion and fascination. Khalil was the first to draw near, his hand grazing the small of my back, his gaze warm yet intense. "You're beautiful," he said, his voice a sweet melody cascading over a rhythmic pulse. Terence trailed behind, cradling my hand in his, treating it as though it were a precious and fragile treasure. My knees buckled beneath me. Alex filled my glass with wine and then settled back into his seat, observing intently. Khalil drew closer, his lips grazing my neck, tender and heated. I quivered. It had been an eternity since anyone had caressed me in such a way. An eternity since I had experienced the longing, the desire, the adoration. The fabric glided away with surprising ease. Khalil slipped behind me, drawing me near his breath, a soft caress along my spine. Terence kissed me slowly, deliberately, his hands rediscovering the curves that Alex had long overlooked. One man consumed me, the other surrounded me, and I vanished between them. The cadence lingers in my mind, the manner in which they flowed together, both lavish and precise. Khalil's hold grew firmer as he ventured further, while Terence's breath ignited warmth along my shoulder. The chamber whirled around me, my breath fracturing into fragments. Ultimately, I found myself a tangled heap of limbs, drenched in sweat, enveloped in a profound silence. My hair untamed, my lips chapped, my thoughts fragmented. Alex strolled over. He pressed his lips gently against my forehead. He appeared as though he had bestowed a gift upon me, yet what he offered was far from a present. It was a break, a division within me that refused to heal. The following morning, steam danced in the bathroom. As I stood beneath the shower, the water hot enough to sting my skin already flushed from the scrubbing. Yet, despite my relentless efforts, their presence lingered unmistakably. Khalil held his breath, caught in the intensity of Alex's gaze, motionless in the shadows of the room. My thighs throbbed, my hips displayed delicate purple bruises, and my mind felt fragmented like a shattered mirror, struggling to maintain its form. At breakfast, the silence hung heavily in the air, palpable and almost tangible. As Alex buttered his toast, he whistled an old jazz tune, treating the previous night as if it were nothing more than a fleeting footnote, a mere scene from a dream. He merely took a sip of his coffee, nodding slightly without casting a glance in my direction. He declared you incredible, his tone devoid of any irony. I found myself unable to meet his gaze. As the afternoon wore on, I found myself walking by the guest room. The sheets were fresh, yet the lingering aroma of cologne and skin hung in the air, a personal haze of sweat aftershave, and an elusive essence I couldn't quite identify. The bed lay perfectly arranged, as though untouched by the chaos of the past, and it was in that moment I caught sight of her Sienna. At the age of 19, she was the daughter of Alex from his first marriage. She had moved in with us a few weeks prior after leaving college in the middle of the semester. Silent and courteous, she glides through the home, earbuds nestled in place, resembling a spectre draped in leggings. At the far end of the hallway, she cradled a chipped mug filled with dark coffee. She remained silent. She merely cast her gaze in my direction. Her eyes held no trace of shock or confusion. They were slender, concentrated, engaging in the pursuit of knowledge. It was an expression I had never encountered on her face before, something methodical, something daring. A brief spark of comprehension ignited between us, and in that fleeting moment I was certain. She was aware of it all, perhaps even a witness to something beyond comprehension. The walls of this house lack thickness. The groans and whispers, the gentle whimpers and piercing breaths. They embark on journeys. A wave of vulnerability washed over me, leaving my cheeks burning, but this time it was not the thrill of ecstasy that caused it. It was a heavy burden of remorse. I attempted to maintain composure, my hand trembling as I reached for the cereal box, while I fidgeted with the strap of my satin robe that offered scant coverage of the evidence from the previous night. Yet I sensed Sienna's gaze tracking my every motion, akin to a silent observer documenting the scene in its entirety. It appeared that Alex was oblivious to the situation. He continued to hum softly, his fingers gliding through the pages of the newspaper. Yet another Friday has arrived, yet another morning meal, yet another mask donned with flawless precision. Yet Sienna, she chose not to don a mask. Later that day, while I meticulously folded laundry in the living room, she entered unexpectedly. The sunlight streaming through the window cast a golden hue upon her hair. She stood with her arms crossed, jaw clenched. "Those men," she murmured softly. "They came for you, didn't they?" My hands became numb against a bath towel. The chill in the air settled in. I swallowed, yet the words eluded me. "I heard things," she said, her voice now a mere whisper quivering with uncertainty. "Last night I braced myself for scrutiny, or fury. Yet what reached my ears was entirely different, perhaps wounded, and an element of shadow, an unusual flicker of jealousy. You seem to be channeling another person," she remarked. A woman unbothered, fully engaged in the moment. She settled onto the couch next to me, her knee lightly grazing against mine. "I was unaware of your existence." "Not quite." At last I shifted my gaze in her direction. Her eyes shimmered like polished glass. Yet those lips of hers. A subtle, inquisitive smile graced their lips. "What could possibly motivate him to act in your favor?" she inquired. "What could possibly compel him to remain a mere observer?" The inquiry cut deep. She was profoundly unsettled. She felt a spark of curiosity. In that moment, clarity washed over me. She stood at the precipice of the very cliff from which I had leaped, and she contemplated the act of leaping. On that evening following the meal, she was there unexpectedly in my bedroom. She wasn't rummaging through drawers or lurking in the shadows. She stood serenely before my vanity mirror, cradling one of my perfume bottles in her hand, the one I had donned that evening. She misted it onto her wrist, shut her eyes, and smiled slowly and with satisfaction, as if breathing in a memory that belonged to someone else. Upon realizing my gaze upon her, she remained composed, neither startled nor flushed. She directed her attention to the mirror, meeting my gaze through the glassy surface. I ought to have spoken up, everything, yet I found myself unable to do so. For a fragment of my being, the one that had stirred to life that evening, grasped her intrigue. I had not merely opened a door. I had left it ajar, and Sienna now stood in the doorway, her curiosity piqued as she leaned in to catch a glimpse within. Alex persisted with his routine as if nothing had changed. Every Friday, he continued to place flowers on the kitchen table, white lilies forever bound by a cerulean ribbon. Yet the emotions had ceased to resemble love. They seemed like sacrifices, a desperate effort to mute the echoes of what he had set free. He scarcely made contact with me now. He would press his lips to my cheek and whisper good night, yet his fingertips seemed to have lost the memory of my skin. He had liberated me from the confines of our monotonous union, only to observe as I soared to destinations beyond his reach. Yet it was Sienna who underwent the most transformation. Her garments fluttered. Once all the hoodies and leggings, now delicate blouses, flowing silk skirts, and a bold swipe of red lipstick on Sundays. Her pace slowed, each step taken with intention. Her words were fewer, yet they carried more weight. As she glided past me in the hallway draped in my old silk robe, the very one I had donned that fateful night, I remained silent. It wasn't a matter of desire, rather it was the revelation I found reflected in her gaze. A father. She mirrored my actions, observing, practicing, and I found myself witnessing my younger self. Then arrived the evening when everything shattered wide open. Alex had departed for what was claimed to be a business dinner in the city. Only Sienna and I were at home. I secluded myself all evening, retreating into the office, feigning productivity. I had no desire to encounter her, not when her gaze reflected a desire I had once satisfied. As the clock struck 9 p.m., the sound of the front door creaking open reached my ears. Imagining that Alex had come back sooner than expected, I entered the hallway and came to a standstill. It was not him. It was indeed them, Khalil and Terence, identical attire, unwavering tranquility and assurance. The same intensity flickers within the gaze. Yet on this occasion, Alex was absent from their midst. At the threshold, Sienna stood welcoming them with a casual grace and a hint of a smirk. She extended an invitation to them. I lingered in the shadowy corridor, feeling a sense of paralysis wash over me, my breath coming in shallow gasps, frozen in place. I observed her as she poured the wine for them. Her laughter danced in the air, playful and teasing. She spun a lock of hair around her finger, leaned in closer, allowing Khalil to gently place a strand behind her ear. Each motion felt like a well-known dance, each fleeting look, each lingering moment, each soft-spoken jest. I had imparted my knowledge to her. Then she turned her head. She cast her gaze toward the dimly lit hallway, where I lingered concealed from view. She was aware of my presence. She wished for me to witness. I retreated cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest, and secured the door behind me in the bathroom. My error was not concealed. It had firmly established itself, and it was blossoming within her now, more powerful, more audacious, unrepentant. As the clock approached midnight, I emerged from the bathroom at last. Silence enveloped the house. Excessively silent. The gentle murmur of the heater permeated the stillness, yet the heaviness of recent events lingered in the atmosphere, dense as a shroud of fog. Khalil and Terence had vanished. The door to Sienna's bedroom stood closed. The driveway remained empty, devoid of Alex's car. I slipped beneath the covers, my body quaking with anticipation. Not out of fear, but from a profound understanding. I was not merely a woman who had erred. I was a spark that ignited the whole dwelling in flames. As dawn broke, Alex found himself back at home. He failed to acknowledge my presence, remained silent. He remained seated at the kitchen table, a plain white envelope resting before him, his expression inscrutable. As I stepped into the courtroom, a wave of guilt washed over me, making me feel as though I were a fugitive in a place meant for justice. I settled into my seat opposite him, my fingers trembling as they moved toward the envelope. Within lay a collection of photographs, unclear, coarse, captured from what appeared to be a concealed security camera, perhaps nestled within the smoke detector in our bedroom or perched on a corner shelf I had never scrutinized closely. Yet, in spite of the lackluster quality, they conveyed it all. On the eve of our anniversary, myself, others, the performance, yet hidden beneath those fresh images, Sienna, alongside the same two individuals, within the confines of the same chamber, identical silhouettes, identical resting place. A gasp lodged itself in my throat. My lips parted, yet silence enveloped me. As I glanced upward, I realized that Alex had vanished. The door stood ajar, inviting and unguarded. His suitcase was nowhere to be found. In an instant, the facade of our existence shattered, collapsed, and vanished into thin air. The stillness he departed with was one of tranquility. It was a consequence. I had broken something hallowed. More than a union, it's about faith. More than a mere dwelling, it embodies the image I once saw in my own reflection. All that I had is gone, and the most disheartening aspect wasn't that I had stumbled. I realized that I had pulled another into the flames that flickered just behind me. Sienna's curiosity had been piqued, isolated, in pursuit. And rather than safeguarding her, I had nourished that craving with my own errors. She had pursued the path I had laid out, each step a marker in the unfolding story, and now she bore the same burn marks that I did. Hers alone were more vibrant, more elusive, and far more perilous. In the solitude of the kitchen, my gaze fixed on the tattered envelope, a chilling realization washed over me. This was not the conclusion of a tale. It marked the dawn of yet another chapter. The flame I believed I could bear and snuff out in silence had been handed down, yet no one was undertaking it. We truly appreciate your presence as we embark on today's extraordinary tale. If you found it enjoyable, we warmly invite you to subscribe to our channel, give this video a thumbs up, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your unwavering support motivates us to deliver more impactful and captivating narratives each and every day. Click on the video above to discover more inspiring stories, my dear.